So as far as utilities go, we know that some people know this, that you can do a task scheduler within a Windows environment to fire off jobs. Probably the most common one is I want to do a VI export out of data, and the task scheduler, you used to be able to do this within the Windows task scheduler. You needed to know some particular code and ways to launch that, but Sage has put that inside of the user interface, and allows you to create those for different modules. And we'll talk about a couple of examples that Dave's thought of. So Dave, you want to kind of give some real life examples of that?
Yeah, sure. So Task Scheduler has actually been in the Sage interface for a couple versions, but they've been enhancing it. And so when it first got introduced, it was limited to, like Jeremy said, visual integrator exports or imports. So if you use the visual integrator tool to import or export data out of Sage, which a lot of our customers do, that was kind of part of the original design. But what they've done over the last several versions is enhanced it to now give you the capability to run reports and to update journals and registers inside of Sage, and really run other utilities inside of the Sage interface. And so we've got customers, obviously, that use it to automate the visual integrator process. So importing, journal entries or, invoices at the end of the day, that type of thing. But got a customer that recently implemented it to update their sales journal process at the end of the day. So they actually have like 3 or 4 point of sale terminals. They have a walk-in counter. They have 3 or 4 point of sales terminals. At the end of the day, they had one person that would update, for all other users. They implemented the task scheduler functionality to just, at the end of the day, they log out and then it picks up all the sales journals across all those users and updates them automatically. So that would be, one good use. We weren't able to do that, inside of Sage before they added that task scheduler capability. You can also use it to run reports. So we've got a customer that at the end of every day, they wanted to reconcile their purchases clearing. And as many of you may or may not know, and we're going to talk about this a little further on in the presentation, but we didn't have the ability to run purchases clearing with a cutoff date. And so they were they wanted to run that report at the end of every day so that they could reconcile it, but they didn't want to wait until all users were gone for the day. And so we just implemented Task Scheduler to run that report, and you can actually run the report out to PDF. And so the report runs at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, prints the report to PDF rather than to paper. And now, they've kind of saved that process and automated it. So those are a couple examples I can think of.
Yeah, great examples. VI is definitely the one that I've hit the most with customers importing orders from a website or, some outside source. That's a great example. So the next one is check run reversal. And this one is near and dear to my heart because I was just working with somebody that had done a check run of 80 checks and the checks didn't print correctly. And so instead of having to in the newer version, in this utility, you can take one check register and reverse the entire run, versus in the past, it's been going to manual check entry and reversing each individual check one by one. So we're going to show you this interface, but it's a really great utility to when that printer jams and maybe you inadvertently post that batch before you really look at the checks to see if they're all good. So it's another good example. I don't know if you run into that at all, Dave, but it's a great
well, so I would share with you that we just had this happen at Matrix. We use Sage 100 and we got a new printer, and our checks on the old printer had to be reverse collated, and the new printer fed them the other way. And so fortunately for us, it wasn't a large check run, but we had a check run that went out and the collation on the new printer swapped it around. So they were printed in reverse order. So wrong check number assigned to the wrong, check. And this utility, is great because, like Jeremy said, if you've got a large check run that you have to reverse, it's now a one-step process rather than having to reverse every single check. So
yeah, exactly. So you want to show a couple of those interfaces, Dave? And
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
walk
So
them
let me
through
show
what
you
you
where those are at in the interface. So this is version 2023. The task scheduler is in the library master module on the main menu. So you see it here, task scheduler. And I'll take you in and just kind of show you how this sets up. I set up a sample job. This is our daily sales journal update example I was talking about. So we name the job. We name the company. What company do we want to run it out of? We have to assign the Sage 100 user login. So the Sage 100 user needs permissions to run the task inside the Sage interface. So you'd want that to be like an administrative user, a power user. It does need a Windows user login as well, because you don't have to leave the interface up and running, right? You can close Sage at the end of the day. As long as this has been scheduled, the task will run, which means you do need a Windows user login to run that with a password. The workstation name that we're going to run it from, this is our demo server. And then this is where you set the scheduling information. I want it to be daily, weekly, monthly, a one-time job, every number of days down here, a start and end date with a time that you want it to run. And then over on the tasks tab is where you set what you want to run. And you'll notice you can have multiple tasks. So you can, within Sage, run under this job. So you can create one job that spawns multiple tasks inside of Sage, or you can have a single job spawn a single task, either way. So here we're picking the module. We're picking the update that we want to have happen within that module, the update date. Do we want all batches or just a single batch? And then here, I'm picking my printer. So what printer, the sales journal in this example prints to a physical printer. What printer do we want to print to? If that journal has been set up through the paperless office system, I know, a lot of our customers are using paperless office to PDF their journal register updates, then it'll automatically go to PDF. So that's just a real simple job. Show you how we would set up a new one. Just give it a description, because I just want to point out, when we go over to the type, this is then where you define what type of task you're going to execute inside of Sage. So mine was set up as a journal register. We can set it up to run a report, a visual integrator, and then if we select visual integrator, you'd see all the visual integrator import, export jobs. And then other are some system utilities like rebuilding sort files, some more maintenance stuff. They've actually added a utility now to purge inactive vendors and inactive customers. So if you're in the habit of having to kind of run that task manually through the interface, you can automate that. So really what they're doing is, over time, they're going to add more functionality to this, but it's a really nice tool for automating a lot of the things that you're doing manually now in the system. So that's task scheduler. Let me bounce out of here. And then I want to show you the accounts payable check run reversal. That's in the accounts payable module on the utilities menu. And it's this option down here at the bottom, reverse check run. So if we select that, what's nice about this is you can select to reverse, if you know the bank code that the checks were run on and the one of the check numbers, you can select it by bank code and check number. Or if you know the register number, you can select it by register number as well. Either way gets you to the same answer. I happen to know that I'm going to reverse a check run that was drawn on bank code D. And if I go to the lookup, here's the list of all those checks that were run on bank code D. Now, these are across different batches potentially, but I'm going to just select check 15 because I know that's part of the batch I ran yesterday. And you can see it automatically brings all the checks into this preview window that were part of either that batch or that check run. So it's going to reverse everything that you see here. It'll tell me that 2 checks will be reversed. It's like any other standard Sage process. So what I would do is I just click proceed. It is going to give me then a posting date option, and then it'll give me a journal register, just like any other process. Now, you can't manually change anything in here. It's just going to reverse everything. What it will do, though, is it will recall all the original invoices. So the normal process of voiding a check, if you're familiar with that, the system offers you the option to reverse and recall the original invoices. It will do that. So once that journal gets previewed, it'll give you the posting totals, and then it'll offer me the update process here. So that's how and then it'll ask me if I want to reverse the check register. That will actually post it, and now you've reversed that entire batch of checks.
Got it. And so, I ran into a customer that had didn't run checks, ran electronic payments. The same process for electronic payments is included in that reversal. You do have to be a little bit careful when you're doing that generate ACH file, because if you run it and you already ran it and then you run it again on the same day, you could have an ACH file that includes both runs. So you kind of want to be careful when you're doing electronic payments, but the process does work for electronic payments.
Yeah, and so you want to just look at that preview window that I had up, and it'll show you all those transactions that are going to be captured in that reversal.